Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. Today we are talking about 2026 numerology forecast, the 11 themes for Universal 1 year. Today we're stepping into one of my favorite conversations of the year. This is our yearly energetic forecast through numerology. And 2026 isn't just any year, it's a universal 1 year, the true beginning of a brand new 9 year cycle. So think of it as this energetic sunrise for this next decade, like a fresh canvas, a turning point of the cosmic soil, the moment in life when life kind of leans in and whispers, hey, something new is awakening. A universal 1 year is filled with fresh starts and brave beginnings, creativity, innovation, and the kind of soul level momentum that nudges you towards who you're becoming. It's the green light from the universe that says, let's go, right? But beginnings can feel tender and challenging too, as we all know. So, in this episode, we're exploring the 11 major themes shaping the energy of 2026, including the hopeful parts and the hard ones. We'll talk all about independence, courage, originality, planting seeds for the future, and also grief, boundary shifts, and some heads up about these shadow patterns that might surface or resurface for you as you grow. So, whenever you're listening from today, take a moment, breathe, open your heart, and think about what could unfold for you in a year designed for renewal and possibility and new inspiration. My intention is to help you feel grounded, informed, and inspired so you can move through 2026 with clarity, confidence, and trust in your own intuitive path. Let's dive in. I want to quickly acknowledge where this idea of universal one comes from. So essentially, with the idea of numerology, it's the energy of numbers. And the one comes from adding the year together. So the numbers 2026 of 2026 reduced down to a single digit as a number one. And numerology is a cycle of 1 through 9, with each number having different themes and representing different things. So for this episode, I look at the traditional themes of what the year means. So, like what the number means, the one in this year. Last year it was the 9. If you want to go back and revisit that one and see what rolled out for you and how these predictions came to be in your own life. But essentially, I take the energy of the actual number of year that we are numerologically entering, plus I tune into the vibrational energy of the year itself. So I love doing this episode. It's one of the only prediction type episodes that we do here. And I want to really share these 11 themes with you so you can have a heads up, so that you can harness this energy in the best ways and most aligned ways possible for you. So, one of the themes for the 11 themes of this 1 year in 2026 is new beginnings, fresh starts, and unexpected opportunities. I'm going to roll through all of these themes and hopefully you'll start to see how they can take shape in your life. Again, 2026 is a universal 1 year, which is the start of a brand new 9 year cycle. And this is like the energetic kind of New Year's Day for the entire 10 years ahead, this year plus the next 8. So it's a feeling of standing at the threshold with like a blank page, a fresh path, and the sense that something new wants to begin. So this energy supports major life moves. This energy can support things like shifting careers, moving homes, starting businesses or a new version of your business, redefining your identity, experiencing a spiritual awakening, or if you already have had a spiritual awakening, allowing it to deepen and mature to a new level. This can be about opening new relationships or new phases in existing relationships. And sometimes life does the pushing for us. So Numerology.com explains it in a 1 year. We're not merely invited to begin something new, we are expected to. And resisting that change can mean the universe will nudge us anyway or give us a little push anyway. So if you felt that subtle feeling of, I can't keep living the old way, or there must be something else, or I can't keep doing it like this, that rumble inside of you, then you are already feeling the early tremors of this cycle. And I do find that often those of us that are energetically sensitive, we are often kind of feeling these vibes a little bit ahead of when the new year is rolling in. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've been kind of getting this sense for a little bit now. So, this second theme has to do with independence, self reliance, individuality, and personal freedom. A universal 1 year spotlights individuality and self reliance. Think of like the physical idea of the number one. It is a single individual standing alone. Now, this isn't about isolating or feeling burdened, like I have to do everything myself type of energy. That is that more distorted, or we call it the shadow version of that feeling, right? The emotion that we'll talk about a little bit later in this episode. I promise we're going to talk about the shadow side of things so you can kind of be prepared and heal to the best of your ability. So it's not about isolating, being alone, being a martyr, being a victim. This is more aligned with that version of like, I can trust myself. I can rely on my gifts. I can follow my own compass. I have permission to be myself. I can take the lead in my own life. I can look for answers inside of me instead of asking an audience of everyone else. So, in this type of energy, this independence, self reliance, individuality, personal freedom, you might feel a pull to make your own decisions, maybe hopefully a little bit more confidently. But it's that feeling of like, no one else is going to decide for me. I want to decide for myself. I want to have autonomy. I want to have say. And this can be over your body, over your life, over your career, different areas of your life. Another thing you might be feeling a pull for is to step out of roles where you are over giving. Because in this energy of the one, it's not about being a victim or a martyr. It's about intentionally choosing where we're giving and honoring ourselves and others by not over giving. So you might have already been getting the vibe of it being a little bit highlighted to you in your life, some areas where you're like, I'm overextended here, or I'm giving too much here. This isn't going to work for me. So how we respond, of course, is our free will choice, but just the sensation, the feeling, the knowing, that's what that's about. So it could even be a pull for you to feel like you really want to start creating a life that reflects who you have become. This doesn't apply to everyone, but we often see a lot of breakdown of relationships around a 1 year, kind of 9 into the one, because maybe we've outgrown some relationships in our lives. Maybe we're really needing our personal freedom and individuality and independence. And as a contrast to that, starting to realize how perhaps certain aspects of our life honor who we were, but not honor who we have become, right, in this last cycle. So those type of things might start feeling like sand in your shoes, like just getting your awareness of like, oh, I don't love that, or I don't like that this is showing up this way in my life, or yeah, I know I had agreed to be on this committee in the past, but actually I'm feeling like this charity doesn't align with who I've become now. So it can be little stirrings like that. You might also be feeling a pull to stop waiting for permission. This was a big one for me many years ago when I really realized I was often looking for guidance or approval outside of myself and wanting like permission to make big decisions or big changes or big choices. I just felt like I needed someone else to say it was okay, even though I didn't realize that's what was happening. So it was a big awareness for me. Maybe for you, if you feel stuck, it's a great like and check engine light to check in on like, do I need someone's permission here? Do I know what I want? And if I do, why am I not making tiny steps towards it? Do I feel like I need someone's permission? Or do I feel like, oh, I can't do that because this person needs this or that person needs that? So just kind of checking in on this idea of like, are you waiting for someone's permission? Because you're independent. You have self-reliance. You're an individual. You have personal freedom. Okay, so this next number 3 in this 11 potentials, 11 streams of what's going to happen this year is leadership and initiative. So a 1 year is a year of putting things into motion. We're not expected to have it perfect. I know some of us, myself as a recovering perfectionist, we want it to be like all ready and perfect before we present it to the world. That is not the energy of a 1 year. A 1 year is really about working with things and taking action as we are figuring things out. Trial and error is okay here. It's more about our underlying intentions. If our intention's in the right place, if we're taking initiative, if we're stepping into leadership, we don't have to be perfect to be a leader in any scenario. We just have to come with ideas and the right heart and the ability to bring people together. So in a 1 year, life, the universe rewards effort, action, momentum. Perfection doesn't matter here. So it's about movement. Are you moving something forward? Are you brainstorming about it? Are you researching about it? Are you calling that local office to see what business license you need for it, right? It's not just laying back and putting it way out on the timeline thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to do that one day in the future. I'm going to get to that." It's really taking action to build momentum now, and the universe will show up to meet you, to help you, to point things out to you. So this 1 year energy as it relates to leadership and initiative really encourages you to do things like pitch a new idea. Maybe you've had an idea, but you haven't wanted to pitch it. Take that initiative, pitch that new idea, launch that thing that you have been dreaming about. Maybe you want to start a podcast of your own, or a blog, or a channel, or it doesn't even have to be digital or social. Maybe there's something you've been dreaming about starting. Launch the thing. Get the cooperative components together. It doesn't have to be perfect. You will always learn and grow as you go, but start the thing. Claim your voice is another one here. You do have your own opinions and perspective, and a lot of people pleasers or sensitives, our tendency is sometimes to dim that light or not use our voice. This year is about claiming your voice, taking a seat at the table that you have been circling, right? If you've been kind of peeking into a meeting or a table and you really wish you had a seat at that table, how can you take that seat at the table? How can you use your voice? How can your voice be one of the choir, right? And this really is the energy with this leadership and initiative about beginning before you feel ready. Now, I believe in preparation. I believe in doing our homework and coming to understanding and getting, the practical side in order. But if we are always waiting until we feel completely ready, I didn't feel completely ready to start this podcast, which, by the way, happy anniversary. We are at our 3 year, 2022 to 2023, our 3 year anniversary of the pod this month. So happy anniversary to all of you. I did not feel ready. I had done my research. I researched the platforms and the equipment, and I listened to other people's podcasts that I enjoyed, of course, and I had some rough ideas, but I've learned so much as I've gone. So yes, do your due diligence, but you have to begin before you feel completely and fully ready. If it's not a little bit outside your comfort zone, you're probably not thinking big enough. And that is what this year is asking. Leadership here isn't about titles. It's not about like, oh, I need this title before I can do it. It's about initiating your own life, taking that initiative and going for the things you want, asking about that thing you're interested in, not just being quiet in the background. Initiative. That's not to say that we want to be careless, of course, but it's just more about acknowledging that we're a work in progress and giving yourself permission to be that work in progress and not waiting for perfection in order to take action. I hope that makes sense. But the third theme is leadership and initiative. Okay. Fourth of our 11 themes for 2026 and the energy and potential is courage. This courage is like a green light to begin. So a universal 1 year gives kind of a cosmic green light. It doesn't mean the universe hands you a blueprint or a map with bullet points along the road. It means that you're supported to begin, even if you feel unsure or unprepared. You need courage. Sometimes we have to bring that courage as the ingredient ourselves. Don't wait for like a wave of courage. It's that famous saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. So perhaps you are invited to speak and do a TED talk, let's just say, in front of a group of people, but you're like, oh my gosh, I don't feel ready. I don't feel prepared. Write your speech, work with someone on it, do what you can, but don't cancel because you can't find the courage. Courage often happens as a result of doing the thing. So a major theme for 2026 is brave momentum, right? Feel the fear, feel the uncertainty, and take the baby steps anyway. I'm reminded with this one of Thomas Edison. He said something remarkably aligned with the spirit of a 1 year. In a 1921 interview, he reflected on his many inventions and experiments. You may have heard this quote before. He said, "I've not failed 10,000 times. I've succeeded in discovering 10,000 ways that don't work." It's like that 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb, right? So a year that is a 1 year is that same spirit: curiosity over perfection, resilience over outcome, courage over clarity, because we're not going to have a clear view of the board game of everything that's about to happen, all the components going on in any given moment. We just can't know all of that. So we have to have courage to continue to take baby steps forward. And remember that self trust, that self reliance, to trust ourselves to make decisions about our life along the way. So hopefully you're seeing how these themes intertwine. Even though they're separate themes, they really wrap together in incredible ways. So don't be surprised or discouraged if the path forward seems unclear this year. It probably will, at least in bits and parts, right? Uncertainty is generally a key ingredient needed for us to exercise courage. It's really annoying. It's what Abraham Hicks talks about with contrast. We have to be in the contrast of the thing to know. Sometimes to know what we want, we have to experience what we don't want. To know what's good enough or what's enough for us, we have to experience lack sometimes, right? So it's a world of duality, of opposites. So don't be surprised if this path seems a little unclear this year. Like I was saying, you're not going to know all the components that are going on in the background. You're not going to see how everything can come together right away. The path is probably going to be uncertain, because that is the key ingredient for us to exercise courage. If everything is certain and we know exactly what's going to happen, no courage needed. So I expect the universe to show up and give us opportunities to practice courage in places we feel fearful or uncertain. So feel the fear or uncertainty and keep taking those baby steps forward anyway. Number 5 of the 11 themes of 2026 is innovation, creativity, and pioneering energy. So this is not about repeating the past. Discovery, experimenting, and leaving room for pivots and surprises is more of the vibe of this one. It's not about like, how do we recreate something of the past? It's think about like innovation, creativity, that energy of like a pioneer going into new frontier, doing it a new way, trying something new. The number 1 is the pioneer of numerology. It's forward moving, it's inventive, it's imaginative. This isn't the year to do things the way you've always done them and get the results you've always gotten. That's not the vibe. So I would expect new ideas to be coming in, but also new ideas to be required. So if you're feeling stuck, it's like, how do we look at this from a new perspective? How do we get fresh ideas? Can we, in film and television, they do screeners. So they often will have a project with, like, let's just say 2 endings, and they'll test the screener in front of different audiences to see what their new fresh ideas are. Do they like the ending? Why don't they like it? Do they like this ending versus that ending? So it's that kind of a year where we're going to need to, like I said, test and experiment, but bring innovation and new ideas. This is a year of creative nudges. So you will be getting lots of creative nudges. I highly suggest either get a notebook, or if you're digital, create a note section for creative nudges, because the universe is going to give us creative nudges. Our ingredient is to bring action, right? Creativity, action. How do we innovate with these creative ideas? I expect you to be getting inspiration for new projects or new ways of looking at something. So if there's a project that you've been working on, you might find that it just doesn't feel like it's moving forward with the energy that it has in the past. And then you will know from these 11 themes, okay, I need to look at an innovative, creative, fresh way to move this forward, or to present this, or to be doing this for this new year. The desire is really to break out of old routines, old structures, old habits. We need solutions that feel maybe out of the box, modern, unusual, sometimes surprising solutions. So, not just in our own lives, but I also expect to see this in the world overall, because we're in this part of the cycle where old structures need to be broken down. The those structures and organizations and orders that are not working. Maybe they worked for our nations and our global community at one time in the past, but they don't work now. They haven't been working for a while. So sometimes we need to take down an old structure or let it break apart to build something new. So just be available that is part of the vibe of the year. I just want you to be aware in a big way and in our own lives too. So it's a year of experimentation, of leaving room for pivots and plot twists. This does also mean if you're going to travel, book extra time. Meaning, like, try not to take those flights that have like no layover between if possible. Leave spaciousness. Plan for pivots, plan for plot twists, right? Plan for plans to change at the last minute. Just be prepared for that type of energy because that can happen in a 1 year. Your intuition may start pushing you to try something that scares you, or to explore something you've never considered. This is this innovation, this creativity. Sometimes we need our creativity stirred. We're creative beings, sentient beings, right? We need to experience something new or different or totally fresh to get our own creativity churning. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're feeling pulled to places that you're like, I never wanted to explore that place before, or I never wanted to read this kind of book before, because really we're coming out of the old and doing it a new way. Remember, if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always gotten, and the universe wants you to experience something new. So it might even be as simple as you starting to think about, with this new year coming in, oh, is there a different way I could be doing this? Is there an updated way? Is there a more modern way? Is there a simpler way? Is there a deeper way, right? So just kind of reevaluating those things that we're doing. Now, this brings me to our number 6 theme of these 12 or 11 themes, of 2026. Originality is our number 6 theme. This is more about becoming more of who you truly are. It's not about you living outside of your personality. It's about taking that private part of your personality and letting it become more of who you are in all areas of your life. So in a 1 year, the universe emphasizes authenticity. You might feel pulled towards choices that reflect your real self, your soul identity, your deepest values. This is not where you begin saying, like, I'm going to keep doing it the way I've always done it. This is where you begin saying, oh, that's not me anymore. I know we used to do it this way. I know we used to do this for our holiday celebration, or I used to celebrate my birthday like this, or I used to not celebrate my birthday and now I want to, right? So it can be simple things within our own lives, but it really is that feeling of like, you know what, that's just not me anymore. That doesn't resonate with me, or I don't vibe with that anymore. So there's a new version of you continuing to emerge. And as this version of you emerges, you just might find different preferences or different ways of doing things. Or more likely, you'll find that old ways that you've always done it is just not giving you the same results, not giving you the same inspiration or motivation. And maybe you need to be a little more original in the way you're going about things. I think we all know the world doesn't need copies, right? We need each individual person's signature, their perspective, their original vibration. So, really, this is a year to embrace your quirks, put them out there, right? Live out loud. Share your gifts. If you're someone that's been kind of not sharing one of your gifts, this is a wonderful time to start letting that freak flag fly, proverbially, so to speak. This is a great time to step out of old labels, right? I have a friend that has been labeled in several ways through different testing that they've done over the years. And they always say, like, I don't agree to labels, because people will say like, oh, you have ADHD. And they'll say like, oh, I don't agree to labels. Don't label me like that. This is a focus that I'm working on, right? So maybe some labels that you carried before are not going to work for this new version of you that you're becoming. Maybe you used to be considered like the practical one or the down to earth one, the one who didn't take chances, who was uncomfortable with new things. And maybe this year you feel like, you know what, I want to try one new dish a month. Let's just say I want to try one new experience a month. I want to try once a month listening to different type of music, right? So it's figuring out, who are you now, and what is this version of you like? What do you like to be called? What do you like to be labeled or not labeled? How do you feel? Let go of those old generic paths, right? Path to success, path to who you want to be, path to whatever it is, and become the most aligned version of yourself. Maybe you felt like you've been waiting to do this for a lot of years. Well, this is the year. Like it or not, sometimes things will bubble up around us that if we are sitting too comfortably in our comfort zone, the universe will like bubble up some hot lava around us. So we have to move. So if you are not able to embrace your quirks, live as your most aligned, like authentic, original self, then chances are this year is going to find ways to bring it out of you. So I just might, and there's lots of ways you can do it. You can do it with how you speak to people. You can do it with your fashion. You can do it with uh, just things that aren't working for you, and what is a creative solution that is part of your originality, that is true to you, your gifts, your quirks, what you need in this moment in time. You know, there's a past version of me that I would try so hard to answer every email that anyone sent any hour until I was asleep and like first thing in the morning. And I would go out of my way to be checking like an incessant amount of times. And that just doesn't work for me now. And actually, something I'm going to work on starting towards the new year here is I'm going to be setting an away message on my email if I can remember. I've been trying to start doing it already, but on my days off, because I don't have necessarily the same days off as a typical schedule, because I try to make myself available for my clients on the weekends. So I want to put an away message so it lets people know on the days that I'm supposed to be off. I usually get like one day off a week, if that. It'll send a message so I don't feel that pressure of like, oh, this person's waiting for a response and I need to respond to them. It'll give them an automated message to say, hey, I'm out of the office until Tuesday, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So what are little things that can be part of what you need now, part of your originality, your quirks, what helps you thrive the most and be able to express as the most aligned version of you? Okay, so instead of asking why me this year, ask why not me? Why not you, right? Originality, number 6. Okay, so number 7 of these 11 themes of 2026 is planting seeds for the future. Now, in some ways, we're always doing this, right? Things that we decide today will affect our path going forward. Choices we're making now set up the future for us, right? So this year, in a one universal year, is about laying foundations that will echo throughout the rest of this 9-year cycle. It's a year of discovery, a time to experiment, to try new things, and to plant seeds without getting too hung up on the final results. Now, some of us that are recovering perfectionists or just very dedicated individuals who are overachievers, we want to know, okay, what are these seeds I'm planting? Are these carrot seeds? Are these lettuce seeds? Because I only want to plant the seeds for what I want. Well, it doesn't work that way. So a 1 year means you're planting seeds that will grow over this next 9-year cycle, but we don't always get to, as we know, control the outcome, right? So then how do we work on planting seeds if we can't guarantee the outcome? You don't need a finished plan to do this. You only need clear intentions and consistent action. Because remember, this is a year of discovery. So you're learning, who are you now? Who are you growing into? What works for you? What doesn't? It's a time to experiment, to try new things. And as we try new things, just the act of experimenting and trying new things alone plants seeds, plant seeds of curiosity, plant seeds of excitement, plant seeds of opportunity, right? So for example, I love to travel. I haven't gotten to do it as much in the last handful of years as I typically like, but if I am looking into travel and interested in travel and planning some trips, even if I don't have all the finished plans done, I'm sending signals to the universe that I want to plant seeds for travel, for exploration. Now, if I'm attached to how that shows up, it's going to be a mess. So there might be some places that I know I hope to go, but some of this is experimenting, trying new things. Maybe I'm also going to take a road trip. Maybe I'm going to go somewhere that I never had been interested in exploring before, right? Because it's a year of discovery. So try to let yourself explore and experiment and discover. Part of that will be planting these new seeds and not getting too hung up on the final results of things. It's a time to really set foundations without obsessing over these final results. So, what you can do is start asking yourself things like, what feels interesting to me? Maybe for your leisure, you've always just gone to dinner with friends. Maybe that feels boring now. Maybe you think like, oh, you know what? You guys know I love stand-up comedy. Maybe I'd love to start seeing some stand-up comedy. That feels interesting. And then you're just opening your mind, opening your life up to new fun experiences. And maybe one of your friends will also say, hey, I've been wanting to try, I want to go to this show. Will you go with me? And then maybe you're like, yes, I want to try that, right? So it really is a time for experimenting. What feels interesting to you should be a core question this year. Another great question is, what am I curious about that I would want to learn more about, right? So again, it's new experiences. Maybe you're curious about a certain type of cooking or a certain way of cooking, right? Maybe it has to do with your own creativity. Maybe you're curious about history. There's a million things we could be curious about, but letting that curiosity move in you, let it inspire you to take action. And as you take action on what you're being inspired about, that is what plants the seeds. So continuing to refuse to take action or invest any time or energy into something doesn't plant the seed. Resisting sometimes plants seeds too, but it's really about getting curious. And you can even ask yourself, what seed feels worth planting now? For me in this last year, that's been about intentionally cultivating my close relationships in a different way, making sure to get plans on the calendar, to see the people I care about as regularly as I can. So that's planting that seed intentionally. So we can do it intentionally, but also as we get curious and take action, we are planting seeds. So along those lines, if there's something that you are very stressed out about, of course, do the practical research or mitigation or whatever you can do, right? If you have a leak in your roof, don't just have a wish and a prayer. Hire a roofer. But if there's something you're obsessing about and stressing about and just letting it get you frazzled in your emotions and not actually working to resolve or to heal or to take action, those are the seeds you're planting. So just know seeds can be challenge or seeds can be wonderful, and you are in charge of them. So we are planting seeds this year. So you just get on your garden hat and get excited. This year, your future, like your future self, is partly shaped by what you choose to begin in 2026. So think about, we're just at the tail end in 2025 of this 9-year cycle. Think about, let's say 10 years ago, you in 2015. I can't even remember. I'd have to really look. This is why I love this, how a lot of our phones keep the photos and keep them with the dates and things and emails. So if you want, go back to 2015, 2016 and see who were you then and how did this version of you that's now start to come into play? Because the things that you're choosing right now as part of this planting seeds, this is going to start to determine the paths that open up for you in these next years. The versions of you that get to come forward. Are you going to let that quirky, creative, artistic, expressive version of you come out, or is she going to have to stay in the closet because you're not planting any seeds for her, right? Okay, I hope I've stood on that soapbox long enough. The future you is partly shaped by what you choose to begin in 2026. Intentionally choose to begin something delicious, whatever it is. Okay, our next theme. I get so excited about these themes, you guys. And I do look back at these episodes kind of every quarter throughout the year to see what themes have already showed up, how they're showing up in my life, how they're showing up in the world in general. And last year was a doozy. So if you want some fun, go back and see how that rolled out. Now let's move on to this number 8 theme of the 11 themes of 2026. Now, this one has to do with grief, clearing, and mixed emotions. So, grief, clearing, and why some people feel both raw and hopeful at the same time is part of this energy. Some of it is that it's okay to grieve the loss of our past selves. Maybe how we were talking about 10 years ago version of you, maybe that version of you thought you'd be having an entirely different career right now, or relationship, or experience, right? So we have to honor and grieve those past versions of ourselves, or the versions of ourselves that didn't get to be, past opportunities, while feeling hopeful about our future. And these two things can be true at once. So these mixed emotions that we can expect this year, in some ways, boils down to holding two energies at the same time. I often think of this one as, have you ever had it where you have something really amazing going on in your life and someone close to you has something really hard going on in their life, or vice versa? My best friend just had kind of a hard little speed bump go on with a health challenge with someone in her life, and I had some really exciting things happening. And so it's holding those two energies at once. She was able to be happy for me about my happy thing, and dealing with her hard thing, and vice versa. I was able to have time and compassion and empathy and support for her in this hard thing, while I also felt happy about my happy thing, because we're complex creatures. We can hold more than one emotion at the same time. If we are waiting for every puzzle piece to be dropped in its proper slot, for everyone to be okay, for the world to be perfect, for everything to be happy and love and light before we do our next thing, it is never going to happen. This is a world of mixed emotions, and the one year highlights that maybe more than any of the others. So even though a 1 year energy is hopeful, right? It's fresh, it's new, it's the threshold. Many people enter a 1 year feeling like raw emotionally, or very tender. Even though a 1 year energy is hopeful, exciting, next chapter, new potential at the threshold of this new 9 year phase. It's exciting on one hand, right? Hopeful. The energy for some people can feel very heavy, very tender, very raw. That's because the year before, right, this 2025 that we're just stepping out of, is the universal 9 year. It's all about endings, release, completion, the falling away of, so we can step into the newness, right? Think of like shedding old skin. It's like a snake shedding its skin so then it can be rejuvenated. That's part of this energy too. So it's totally normal to feel a mix of emotions in this 1 year. It's normal to feel things like grief for old versions of you, for things that didn't get to happen. I have a friend who is grieving this idea that they're not going to have kids. They always, they really pursued a wonderful career in the world, and they kind of had the intention that maybe one day they would have kids, but it just didn't work out that way for them for lots of reasons. So they're grieving that kind of unrecognized or unrealized opportunity, unfulfilled potential, right? For myself, I've had to kind of grieve the idea that I'm never going to have an acting career. There was a part of me that at one time thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll go back one day and start exploring that career again. But just like we were talking about with that other theme, it's about understanding who we are now and what's aligned with who we've become. Well, that career is no longer aligned with who I've become. It's no longer part of what excites me or what I want to step into. So even though I'm very happy and love what I'm doing now and feel so grateful and profoundly moved that I get to work with the spirit world and get to be here with all of you, there is a part of me that grieves that version of me who wanted something different and who, for lots of reasons, didn't get to fulfill that version of my path, right? But I get to do it in a different way. So I wouldn't be surprised if you are having things like that, realizations like that come to your mind of like, oh, I chose this instead of this. I chose this fork in the road instead of going down this avenue. And now this is what my life looks like. So it's okay to grieve old versions of us. It's okay to feel sadness for what didn't get to unfold. It's okay to feel regrets around things that held you back or where you held yourself back, because truly often it's us holding ourselves back. It's okay to feel emotional residue from the past cycle, from these past 9 years. I think we've all been through quite a lot. It's okay to have residual emotions. It's not like clean slate emotionally, right? Because we collect data from the emotions we've experienced, from the life we've lived. So it's important to take that wisdom with us. But sometimes we do get to grieve those parts of the paths that were maybe just unrealized. You can feel hopeful for the future and still grieve the past at the same time. I know it's hard, especially when we are really grieving like a person or the end of a career or the end of a relationship. It can feel hard to be in grief about that thing and still hold hope for the future, hold love for ourselves and parts of the life that we have. But both can be true, both can coexist, both are valid. And it's okay to let yourself honor what has been and still step forward. And actually, it is required of us this year. Think of it like the butterfly in the chrysalis, right? The caterpillar goes into weaving that silk web of a cocoon, mourning the loss, understanding it's not a caterpillar anymore, right? It's in that little cocoon and its body's dissolving and it's becoming something else. So maybe it realizes like, oh, I'm not a caterpillar anymore. And that's a little scary, right? Maybe a little anxious about the becoming because it doesn't know yet that it's going to get to be a beautiful butterfly and learn to fly. 1 year is kind of like where we're in the middle of that chrysalis, right? We're not a caterpillar. We're not last year. We're not who we have been, but we're not fully yet who we are working to become. We're in that middle, uncertain, things changing, maybe things feeling a little murky or like not fully laid out in our plan. Maybe it feels a little messy. We're little butterflies this year. So just kind of keep that image in your mind, because truly there are going to be some mixed emotions this year, and it is not you. It is all part of the energy of this year. So let's move on to our 9th theme for this 2026 Universal 1 year of these 11 themes. So number 9 is aligning vision and action. And these themes, it really took a lot for me to, that's why a lot of them have more than one name, because I've really tried to boil them down and condense them because there's a lot this year and these are all important, but this is one of the most important ones. So 1 year energy demands, I'm going to use that word intentionally, demands integrity between what we say that we want and what we actually do. If we speak change, right, or we say we want change, we want something, but we don't take any action, that energy, that momentum that I was talking about that we can get with a 1 year will totally stall. So I think let's not talk about us. Let's talk about someone else. I think we all can think of a person that we know either currently in our lives or that we've known at some time in our life that always says they're going to do this big thing. They're going to go on this trip. They're going to learn this course of study. They want to be an XYZ. They want to be an actor. They want to be a writer. They want to get in shape. They want to work on their health, but they take zero action. And in some cases, they're taking action to the contrary, right? They're doing the opposite of what they say they want to do and how they want to show up. When we do that, the universe is getting mixed messages and is understanding in our energy, oh, they're saying they're not ready. They're saying they're not ready for that. They don't want that. So this is about being aligned in integrity, in our vision, in our like core energy of who we are and in our actions in the world. So it's that whole picture, and it's really bringing it together. I have been getting the nudge for like the past year about some things I need to work on that I'm saying that I want. I want to be able to use my body into as many more years as I get. I want to maintain my flexibility. I need to get a little bit stronger, if I'm honest. I'm talking to all my bone density friends out there. So I'm saying these things, but there was a little while of last year that I was taking marked action on it, but for the most of the year, I haven't been taking a lot of action on it. And that is something that I need to come congruent with. I either need to stop saying it and just let it go and say, I don't care if I'm strong and healthy. I'm just going to eat these Cheetos and live my best life. Or I need to start taking some sort of marked action, right? I did some actions last year, so I know what it is. It's part of my life, my whole life, so I know how to do it. So what are those things that you're saying you want, or you have historically said that you want, but you are not taking any action and you're out of alignment, right? You're out of integrity. This can even be like the integrity between your desire and your daily choices. So if you say you want to change, but you take no action, again, that energy stalls. If you speak about a dream but never start it, the universe cannot support you because you are saying, I'm not ready. It's through the actions, even tiny baby steps. It's through those actions that we tell the universe, I'm ready. Come and meet me. Bring me more cooperative components. Bring me more ingredients I need for this thing that I'm showing you that I'm ready for, right? I often think about it. I thought about it with acting, and I've thought about it with mediumship and with my spiritual work. With acting, the way I used to think about it, you've heard me probably talk about this before if you've been here for any length of time, but it requires, for me, in the age I was and in the types of roles I would have been getting, to look a very specific way at all times, because they don't give you time to prepare for an audition. It's not like they say, okay, in a month, we're going to need you to look like this and go see this person. It's like in 2 hours, you need to go see this person and you better look like this. So I would be in kind of constant action mode of making sure my physical body was right, making sure my hair was right, trying to do things to keep my skin clear, trying to do things to keep my nutrition. So all of doing acting classes, working with a coach, doing all of these elements, because I realized when the opportunity shows up, you have to already be ready. It's not like an opportunity can present itself and then, because we believe it, because we see the opportunity, we can suddenly magically get ready and get all the components together. That's not the way it works in real life. And most of you have some example for this in your own life, whether it's personal life or finances or career or physical or whatever area it's in. I see it in this work today, because it's like if an opportunity presented itself, there was a time in my development where, because of everything else going on in my life, I wasn't maybe as dedicated in the rituals that I need to do, in the practices I need to do, in the way I need to have my energy and everything kind of dialed in. I wasn't doing it as diligently, as intentionally, as focused as maybe I am now. And so even if, there was a time early on in my work that even if somebody said to me, oh, I want you to do a reading for me, or, oh, I want you to, do this project or come on this podcast, I wouldn't have been ready, because I wouldn't have had it prepared, because I wasn't quite there yet. So that's sort of what this energy is like. Don't just speak about it, be about it. You don't need perfection. You can aim for consistency and try to continue improving a little by little. And that's enough. You don't have to be perfect, but are you getting ready? Are you trying to be on top of your game in whatever area it is that these opportunities are going to come in? And chances are, in a 1 year, there's going to be inspiration, creativity, creation, and opportunities across the board. If your life is a game board, it's in every area of your life, I would be expecting new opportunities and new things to be presenting themselves. It's up to us to be ready and then take action. But again, we don't have to be perfect. We can be like with wellness, let's just say. For me, I can be doing consistent small actions that I will over time improve little by little. My bone density will improve. My strength will improve. My stamina will improve, let's just say. So it's not about showing up ready to run the marathon today, if that's what you want to do. It's about that consistent, small, little by little improvement and dedication, right? So we really need to be aligned in our vision and our action. And if we're not, we need to evaluate, like, do I actually even want this vision? Is this do I even want to run a marathon? Do I even care about that? And maybe the answer is yes, actually, I really do. And maybe it's no, actually, I really would like to learn to kayak or stand up paddleboard instead. And then it's refocusing and aligning with that vision and taking action along that path, right? Hopefully this is making sense the way I'm explaining it. So if you say you want change but take no action, the universe can't rise to meet you and energy stalls. And I so often over the years hear people complaining about this one, that, well, I feel stuck, or none of the, like, the universe isn't helping me. And it's like, well, let's talk about the actions and the consistency that you're having. Are you congruent? Are you in alignment, in integrity with this or not? If you speak about a dream but never start it, the universe cannot support you. So this year, in a 1 year, the universe, right, the energy, the numerology is asking us to align what we feel, what we believe, what we envision, and what we actually do. And again, I'm going to use this. I keep having travel ideas. I know I want to travel a little bit this next year, but the idea I keep thinking of is not. I keep thinking of climbing one of those like famous mountains, whether it's Kilimanjaro or whether it's Machu Picchu, or, you know, those famous hikes and mountains. Is it something that you just say you want to do one day in the future? Or are you on a plan every month of increasing your steps and your stamina and doing training so that in 5 years you're prepared to take that trip, right? Okay, I feel like I've harped on this one enough. Again, you don't need perfection. Aim for consistency, continuing improvement. You do need intentional, grounded follow through. And this is where intuitive alignment becomes real world alignment. So think about the things you're saying you want. Is it true? Like, do you actually want what you're saying you want? And if so, how are you aligning your action with your desires or with what your soul's calling you towards? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on to number 10 of our 11 themes of the numerology predictions for 2026. The 10th theme that we can expect to show up is redefining relationships and boundaries for you, for yourself. It's self-focused. It's this redefining. It doesn't mean other people vanish or have to change their behavior, but instead, it's really cultivating relationships and boundaries in ways that may need to be renegotiated. I'm just going to be honest with you. So even though a 1 year is self-focused, it's not self-centered. We're working from inside out, but we're not only thinking about ourselves. People don't vanish from our lives necessarily, but relationships can shift as we grow. You may need to renegotiate things like boundaries, communication patterns, emotional roles that you agree to play or to not play, energetic agreements. I keep thinking about someone I know that has a family member in their life that calls them only when they need something. I think we all have a few people like that we know or that we've known in some part of our life. And this family member calls only when they need them. They only want to talk about their self and their problems. They expect people to drop everything to focus on them and their problems. They never want to ask about my friend. They never want to understand what's going on in my friend's life. Are they having challenges? So it's not a two-way street at all. And my friend is really getting to this place, and I'm not surprised it's happening at this 9 into a 1 year. They're getting to this place where they're deciding, oh, this is not going to work for me anymore. It's not judging that person. It's just saying, oh, this is not the type of relationship I agree to have. And my boundary is going to be that I am only going to take calls from this person when I have time and energy to give them counsel on their stuff. And I'm going to be realistic that they're not going to ask about my stuff at all. So that's how they're handling it. Now, you may, as part of this energy, be attracting new people who align with the evolution of who you are and where you're going. You may start to feel some emotional or energetic distance from relationships that are tied to old versions of you. This can be family, this can be friends, this can be even relationships with habits and hobbies and things like that. So maybe you have this relationship with food, let's just say that you use it in the evening for comfort. Maybe I'm talking about myself here. I eat in the evening for comfort, and that relationship with food actually comes from like a 12 to 14-year-old version of me. And maybe that's not working for us anymore. That's not working for us anymore. And I've come in and out of this relationship, but it's me defining my own boundaries, what I need in this relationship. And it doesn't have to be with a person. That's my whole point of bringing up the food thing, is like, it could be with food. It could be your relationship with money. It could be a relationship with time. It could be a relationship with how you honor yourself in the world, right? It could be your relationship with your soul path and what you're agreeing to do. But certainly it could be a relationship with any of the people in our lives, even people that have already crossed over to the other side that we kind of feel a certain way about, that we need to heal something with maybe. So redefining relationships and boundaries for ourselves based on what we need now for who we are wanting to become and the life we're wanting to create. This is, again, in a different way, part of planting seeds, because creating these boundaries in our relationships now will plant seeds to give us different spaciousness, different communication patterns, different relationships going forward, right? And setting new boundaries aren't always easy. You guys have heard me talk about a teacher that I love, Ian Levan Zant. She has some beautiful ways about teaching about boundaries. And she has a whole YouTube video series from like years ago that you can still find about her talking about boundaries and how when we choose a boundary, right? Maybe for example, someone used to show up in our lives, it's a close relationship with us, and they call us mean names, let's just hypothetically say. We might decide in this boundary, oh, I no longer agree for you to call me anything besides my name. You're not going to call me any bad name. You're not going to say mean things to me. You're not going to call me anything other than my name. But perhaps this person's been doing that for all the years of your relationship. So this is a new boundary. Well, they might need some time to adjust, and you can gently reaffirm that boundary. Okay, I know this is new and I'm changing some things, but actually, really, I prefer you just refer to me by my name. I don't like this term XYZ. Thanks so much for remembering. I really appreciate it. And then in a few days or weeks, when they do the same thing again, it's, oh, actually, hang on one second. I just want to remind you, this is, I need you to just call me by my name. Thanks so much. I know this is a new boundary. It's hard to remember. I get it. And you get to decide how many chances like that you're going to give them, probably based on who they are in relationship to you. If it's just a random person that you have to deal with, maybe you don't deal with them after too many times of crossing that boundary. If they're a very close family member, maybe you're giving them much more runway and much more adjustment period. But you get to show up and choose what boundaries work for you and how you are going to respond to how other people show up. Boundaries aren't necessarily about rules that we make for other people. Boundaries are things that we decide that work for us and don't work for us, and how we are going to respond. So in that example where someone's calling you out of your name, a different name than your name, it's the boundary with yourself would be, oh, if someone calls me a name other than my name, a bad word, I'm not going to speak to them. I'm going to walk away. But you want to say, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to have this conversation another time, because I don't know if you remember, but I said I'm not going to any longer hear people call me names other than my name. So we can just have this conversation a little bit later. Thanks. I hope you'll remember. So it's kind of that. It's not passive aggressive. It's just an energetic agreement, right? So you might need to, in lots of ways, redefine your relationships, the emotional roles that you agree to play within those relationships. Maybe you're not going to allow someone to be codependent with you anymore. Maybe you're not going to be codependent anymore. Maybe you're going to work on that. Maybe you're going to work on showing up as anxiously attached. Maybe that's something that you're working on. So it's really a deeper way of understanding yourself, but as it relates to the relationships in your lives and the boundaries that you have in every area of your life. So this year is about creating rational relational dynamics that support your individuality and not suppress it. And even if it's uncomfortable, it's okay to ask for what you need. It might not be easy, particularly with certain relationships in our lives, but it is okay to ask for what you need. And that is part of one of these other themes of you getting to express your individuality and being your unique, true, authentic self. So that is all part of this with redefining boundaries and relationships in our lives. And again, I just want you to open your mind to relationship is not just us with another person. It is that, but it's so much more. It's with ourself, it's with our habits, with our hobbies, with our work, with largely with ourselves. So I hope that makes sense. So now we have come to the 11th in the 11 themes of the energy of 2026, this one year. And this is where we're going to talk about the shadow side. Impatience, ego, and scattered starts is the 11th theme for 2026. So every energy has a shadow. For a universal year one, the common challenges include things like impatience, ego-driven decisions, right? Not from the most aligned place, but from the most ego or unhealed place of us. It could be starting too many things at once and then failing to take action on any of them. It can be overstimulating our capacity, right? We get to know where our capacity is and have those boundaries and not overstimulate so then we're frozen. It could be things like feeling isolated if you allow, where we're talking about that theme of independence, if you take that theme of independence and use it in a challenge and like instead of saying like I'm empowered, it becomes I don't need anyone. Well, that's the shadow side. It can show up as frustration when things don't move fast enough or when we don't get our desired result. It can show up as victim mentality or like, oh, poor me. So let's talk a little bit more about what it means, the shadow side, because I think this term is often like, I don't know, negatively glorified or used in a scary way. Any emotion or theme that we have in life, right? Let's just take the theme or the emotion of like being giving, right? The quality of being giving. There's a positive side of the spectrum of being giving and a challenge side of the spectrum of being giving. Now, what do I mean by that? If someone is expressing their giving nature, their quality of being generous in a positive way, it probably means that they create wonderful relationships where they get to support people and they get to receive support. Maybe they get to be generous with their abundance, their time, how they give time to people. And maybe they're also generous with themselves with time. Maybe they also carve out time for themselves in a generous way. Now, on the challenge side of the spectrum of generosity, it's when someone is giving and then feeling resentful about it, right? I've definitely experienced this. Let me know if you have too. It's when someone is being generous, but then it's depleting for them. Maybe they're so generous with their time that they're overextending themselves and they're working, 15 hours a day and then they're volunteering another 5 hours a day and they're barely sleeping in those 3 or 4 hours a day that they have left. Well, that's a challenged presentation of generosity, right? That's not healthy. So I don't love healthy and unhealthy as terms for this spectrum. It's more like in the positive and in the challenge, in the light and in the shadow. So the shadow side is more of those kind of ego driven, where it's like generosity for the sake of getting recognition. It can show up as I've seen. I'm sure you've seen people like that too, where their generosity is not of pure heart and spirit and something they want to do just from the fullness of their heart and their ability. It's like to get something. That's a shadow presentation of generosity. Another shadow presentation of generosity is if, do you ever have someone that like is kind of generous with their time or with their advice or with something in their lives, and then they keep like a list of it and hold it over you like, well, I talked to you this time and gave you this and showed up like this and now you owe me, right? That is not pure generosity. That is a shadow aspect of generosity. So in this 1 year energy, we really can see the shadow side of these themes showing up. And really, what's the remedy? Awareness is key. You can work with this energy consciously by being grounded, kind of setting one clear priority at a time, knowing yourself and knowing the reasons why you're doing something. Most of or a good amount of telling if something is in the light or the shadow is looking at the motivation underneath. Even if it's like dedication to wellness, are you doing it because it feels good and it's a healthy thing to do and you're strengthening your body and all the positive attributes? Or are you doing it in a way that is punishing yourself, that is negative, that is restrictive in a way that feels unhealthy or cruel, right? So, any of these things that we're looking at, individuality and self reliance, well, it's wonderful if we can shine our own light, be our quirky selves, put ourselves out there in ways that feel genuine to us, say what we need, create our own boundaries. But on the challenge or shadow side of that aspect of that individuation is this feeling of like, I'm an island. I don't need anyone. I always do everything myself for myself and I can just do it myself and no one's here to help me. I'm all alone. Everyone else has people and I don't. That is a shadow aspect of that individuality and self-reliance, right? So it's looking at what is your motivation underneath, or what is that little quiet program running in the background that you have. We all have this inner self-talk, some of us maybe more than others, but it's what is your motivation at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of it? What's your actual motivation? So part of this practice can be asking for support when you need it, pacing yourself, staying connected to your purpose, right? Because sometimes this shadow side can like cloud our purpose, right? So if your purpose in one area of your life, let's just say in your career, your purpose is to help people, to have success in your own life, and to help those that you lead, let's just say. Well, sometimes leadership can turn into like hard driver. So on the shadow side of that aspect of like wanting to like lead and shine your light and put yourself out there, if you start really negatively driving everyone else and you lead from a place of recklessness or cruelty or dominance, well, that's in the shadow. It's what's the purpose underneath is to lead everyone and feel inclusive and not to control, not to restrict, to expand, right? So I hope you can feel the difference between when something's tipping into the shadow side of it or the light side of it, because this shadow is going to be just behind us this whole year. And it's something that's always part of our experience, but this year it might feel a little bit more highlighted. And the truth is, the shadow isn't there to sabotage you. And I know a lot of people kind of get in this like, oh, it's, scary, or shadow indicates darkness. It doesn't. It's just a different quality of the aspect of our human characteristics that we only get to experience in this physical world. When we're on the other side, we don't have negative motivations. We don't do things for attention. It's different there. So in this human incarnation is when we can feel the contrast and this shadow or challenge side of the spectrum of our human qualities. Things can be the best of us or they can be the ugliest of us, right? So the shadow side of the emotions isn't here to sabotage us. It's here to help us refine and grow more fully into ourselves and our next chapter. We don't need to know the whole plan. We don't need to have it all figured out. We don't need to be fearless. We can feel uncomfortable and fearful. We don't need to get it right. We only need to get started. So just know that it's okay to keep checking in with this shadow aspect. Am I tipping into the negative? Am I looking at this through a negative lens? Am I showing up with resentment? And it really is all through the emotions. It's being attentive to ourselves. Remember, we were talking about the self-focus this year as one of the themes. That's the self-focus I'm talking about, is getting more clear on our own motivation, our own true intentions, our own emotions underneath, because this shadow side can be sneaky as hell, you guys. I have even done it myself many times where I'm slipping into, maybe it's been years ago that I was more like this, but where I'm slipping into more of a victim mentality or a martyrdom, or where it's like, no, I chose all of this and I could choose to do it a different way if I want. So just being aware. And the other thing is the shadow side can show up in other people around us. So you might be keeping your proverbial side of the emotional street clean by checking in on your emotions, really looking at those harder emotions underneath. What are the challenged emotions that you're feeling? What is this bringing up for you, right? But it doesn't mean everyone else is going to be doing this work. So it's okay to also recognize within yourself, okay, I see this person's ego is very activated right now, and they are really needing this affirmation from outside of themselves. And I see that that's happening. You don't have to judge it, right? Because then that puts us in the shadow side of our own receiving or acknowledgement. If we're stepping into judgment, we can keep it neutral and we can just notice, because this will be happening outside of us as well. So what this might mean for us collectively is that powerful figures might be really explosive in this shadow aspect of leadership, of power, of power over, control over. But again, we are stripping away old patterns and old systems and old programs. So there's a strong chance that those shadow ways will present themselves so that more people can recognize, so that we can say, like, okay, we don't agree to this, and we're going to collectively want to do this a new way for this next cycle. So it's a year of change, but not in a negative way. And change is, while we don't always like it, it often is for our growth, and we can use any change or difficult situation to help move us forward in a better way. We just need to start small, start softly, start with intention, and trust that your soul, your intuition, and the universe are weaving something new for you to experience and for you to grow through. So, as we wrap up today's episode with these 11 themes, I hope you can feel the possibility woven through this universal 1 year. New beginnings don't always have to come through like hard knocks or trauma or heavy lessons. They can also arrive through curiosity and play and new experiences and humor and that beautiful beginner's mindset and spirit that we sometimes forget that we are allowed to have. We can have that childlike excitement and curiosity. And 2026 is an invitation to a fresh start, to take brave steps, have courage, and rediscover your own originality, and to explore life with an open heart. Maybe that's something you're going to focus on this year. You get to choose how much you walk into this new cycle and how much you resist the changes and the new opportunities. You can approach your goals with a lighter touch. You can bring joy and happiness to the process. You can let yourself feel both wise and brand new all at the same time, because we can hold more than one energy and emotion. And whether you're planting seeds for the future intentionally, redefining relationships, or taking your very first step towards a long held dream, remember that you're not required to know the entire path. You're only asked to begin with intention and continue with consistency. Let yourself laugh more. Let yourself be surprised. Please let yourself try things new, or try things that you've done for years in a new and newly inspired way. Let yourself feel the excitement of this threshold of new possibilities. The universe, again, isn't looking for perfection here. It's simply inviting you to participate in your own becoming. It's going to happen either way, and you're participating either way. So why not be an active ingredient? If this episode spoke to you, I hope that you will share it with a soul friend who might be stepping into their own new beginning. We all are. And as always, I'm cheering you on from over here and holding space for every part of your journey. I'm so grateful for you being here with me on our 3rd anniversary of the pod, and for being here with me throughout these years, and your growth and my growth, because we are a community together, and you mean more to me than you probably know. I definitely send healing and love and a big bundle of positive wishes and energy for the entire pod squad. Even if I don't know you and you've never messaged me or never liked or commented, you are still in this energetic container, and I'm still sending my best wishes for love and light to you. So until next time, keep trusting trusting your intuition, keep choosing what feels aligned, and keep showing up for the magic that wants to unfold in your life. Let's live these 11 themes of this one year like our heart is really in it, and let's do it together. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now. Until next time, inside Spirit Speakeasy.